Germany will continue to engage politically, financially, and also militarily. This could include, for example, deploying forces for Ukraine on neighboring NATO territory after a ceasefire. I want to say here that the nature and extent of a German contribution must and will be decided by the federal government and the German Bundestag once the mentioned conditions are clarified. I want to say for myself and also for the federal government that we are not fundamentally ruling anything out. Dear Volodymyr, I want to say it openly. This also creates expectations for Ukraine. This includes, as you know, something we have already discussed in Brussels. Ukraine must ensure that its young men serve a secure and economically healthy Ukraine, instead of emigrating to Germany, Poland, or France, as we are currently witnessing. This is a topic we have already discussed in Brussels. I believe this is an expectation that Ukraine can and should meet.
This meeting seals today a significant step forward reflected by the Paris Declaration, which provides robust security guarantees for a solid and lasting peace. This declaration by the coalition of the willing marks for the first time that operational convergence has been achieved among the 35 member states of the coalition, including Ukraine and the United States of America, in building robust security guarantees. The presence today of President Trump's special envoys, the commitments made by President Trump himself, particularly what he said during the meeting held in Mar-a-Lago late last year with President Zelensky, demonstrate the United States' commitment to building peace and assuming its responsibilities. This coalition of the willing marks a new phase that I believe aligns with our position and, moreover, is consistent with American wishes. American support and participation are very important for many countries. They are very important for many countries that are members of NATO. They are very important because American capabilities, sometimes with exclusivity on certain components of these security guarantees, make them key. Recent weeks have marked a change since there has been an American commitment.
Of our iron-cast commitment to stand with Ukraine for the long term. It paves the way for the legal framework under which British, French and partner forces could operate on Ukrainian soil, securing Ukraine's skies and seas and regenerating Ukraine's armed forces for the future. We discussed these issues in detail today, and so I can say that following a ceasefire, the UK and France will establish military hubs across Ukraine and build protected facilities for weapons and military equipment to support Ukraine's defensive needs. And with our coalition partners, we've also agreed significant further steps. First, that we will participate in US-led monitoring and verification of any ceasefire. Second, we will support the long-time provision of armaments for Ukraine's defence. And third, we will work towards binding commitments to support Ukraine in the case of a future armed attack by Russia. Are still ahead. So we're here today to keep driving that effort forward. But we can only get to a peace deal if Putin is ready to make compromises. And so we have to be frank. For all Russia's words, Putin is not showing that he's ready for peace. Over the last few weeks, we've seen the opposite. Further horrific strikes on Ukraine, killing and wounding civilians, and cutting off power for millions of people in the dead of winter. His forces hit a hospital in Kyiv just yesterday. And he's tried to distract from peace efforts with unfounded claims of attacks on his residence.
know there's a reluctance to talk about Greenland today.
On the question of Greenland, I've been very clear as to what my position and the position of the UK government is, both in statements I made myself yesterday and in the statement that was put out earlier today. I've been equally clear that the relationship between the UK and the US is one of our closest relationships, particularly on issues on defence, security and intelligence. And we work with the US 24/7 on those issues. And as Jared said a moment ago, and I thank Steve and Jared for all the work they've done in recent weeks, particularly on the security guarantees, and for being here today at our meeting. But peace is only possible because of the progress that we're making in these meetings of the Coalition of Willing.
So with regards to the security guarantees, there was extensive conversations about that with President Zelensky and President Trump at Mar-a-Lago in December. And I think that they really resolved most, if not all, of the issues that are outstanding on that. These have been really designed over the last really month in consultation with the Ukrainians, with the Europeans. I will say I think today was a very, very big milestone, and I thank President Macron for assembling this and for all of the work that everyone here has done behind the scenes to bring this together. This does not mean that we will make peace, but peace would not be possible without the progress that was made here today, meaning that if Ukraine is going to make a final deal, they have to know that after a deal, they are secure, they have obviously a robust deterrence, and there's real backstops to make sure that this will not happen again. One of the reasons why President Trump is comfortable with where the security guarantees are headed towards is because, based on his assessments and his conversations with President Putin, is that if we can make the right deal, it would mean a deal where both sides look to de-escalate, that there's a real monitoring mechanism, real ability, if there ever is a violation, to have deconfliction and hopefully, de-escalation. And obviously, you create a robust deterrence, peace through strength, where it's unlikely that somebody will ever go and start this again. So this is a really important building block towards an eventual peace deal, and I think that it's a big, big milestone that was reached today between the Europeans with the Coalition of the Willing, and I really want to just thank the DoD and the whole amazing team in the U.S. Obviously, you saw last week the incredible capability of the U.S. military, and that's just a small piece of what they're capable of doing. And so they've been really thinking about this, and they believe that a real peace here is possible, and there are ways to stand behind it.
Envisager un déploiement de troupes européennes pour protéger le territoire. Enfin, est-ce pour préserver ce lien avec les États-Unis que vous n'avez pas?
Those security protocols are meant to A, deter any attacks, any further attacks in Ukraine, and B, if there are any attacks, they're meant to defend, and they will do both. They are as strong as anyone has ever seen. Everyone on this panel, on this stage up here, has acknowledged that, as has almost all of the countries that sat at the table with us today. The President does not back down from his commitments. He is strong for the country of Ukraine and for a peace deal, and we will be there for the Ukrainians in helping them to get to that final peace, and we're confident we will get there.
Декларацію про наміри між Україною, Французькою Республікою та Сполученим Королівством Великої Британії та Північної Ірландії щодо розгортання багатонаціональних сил на підтримку оборони, відбудови та стратегічної стійкості України підписують від України Президент України Володимир Зеленський, від Французької Республіки Президент Французької Республіки Еммануель Макрон, від Великої Британії Прем'єр-міністр Великої Британії Кір Стармер.
Declaration of intent between the French Republic, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and Ukraine relating to the deployment of multinational forces in support of the defense, reconstruction and strategic sustainability of Ukraine. Signatory for the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Signatory for the French Republic, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, Signatory for Ukraine, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine.
Merci beaucoup. Nous allons procéder maintenant à la conférence de presse.
Вдячні всім, переходимо до етапу